I'd finished playing football, soccer, after too many years of playing that, and decided to have a bit of a rest, and then got bored, and thought, well, let's go for a run. I normally don't run unless I'm chasing a ball or chasing someone with a ball. But you find that mental chewing gum that gives you that discipline, and also gives you the different energy that you can then take into your workplace or into your family. Live in Melbourne, Australia now, and we have 3 dogs. Joe and I have a house full of furry people.
Hey listeners, if you are enjoying the stories, please leave a comment, share, or subscribe to this channel for 2 reasons. First, you'll get notified when I publish the next story. Second, it inspires me to get you more stories. I'm your host, Kamal Dada. Enjoy the story. Welcome Dan to the podcast. I'm very excited to have you here and hear your running journey. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. And hello, everybody.
Great. So let's start with a quick introduction.
Yeah. Okay. My name's Dan Thorne. I'm 56, hurtling towards 57. Live in Melbourne, Australia now. Been originally London, well, South England born. Left England in '91 to go backpacking and never really returned. Lived in Hong Kong for a few years in the early 90s, and then returned back here to Melbourne full time since then. Married, also have a 16-year-old daughter, Emily, who's just absolutely wonderful. She lives with her mum, but we have a really good relationship. And we have 3 dogs. Joe and I have a house full of furry people, which you might end up seeing in the background wandering around, because they do have a tendency to come in to the office here. This is actually an office, even though it looks like it's a gym. So
Great.
That's kind of me.
That's a good setup. You have office and you have furry friends in the house. Sometimes shows up to keep you company, which is great too.
Yeah, they're a bit of a trip hazard. That's the only issue when it comes to running. They do have a tendency to sit right behind me here, so I have gone a bit, tripped up a few times.
I see. Great. So I know you ran Berlin this year. So you want to quickly share, like, how was their experience? A couple of highlights. Yeah,
an amazing experience. I definitely would recommend anybody that's thinking about doing it to do it. I've done. To me, it's one of the best of the bunch when it comes to the atmosphere, and the amount of music and crowds along the way, and also just an iconic city. And you can't beat coming around that sort of final corner and seeing the Brandenburg Gates, and then going through that, and that whole feeling of it's kind of a real buzz, really good emotional. And I could not believe that the high point for me, probably, or one of the high points, the whole thing was great, was the amount of South American supporters in the sideline. There seemed to be predominantly, it seemed to be more Mexican than anything, or Central America, I know, but that sort of, but they were so full of joy for everybody. And all the runners. So there was just, and I think it's classed as like the joyful marathon, and it definitely lives up to that reputation. But yeah, that and London for me are like the 2 best of the ones that I've been to so far. So yeah,
was
I did a good time.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I was really pleased with my time. My training had been pretty good. I had a minor injury just before leaving, but there was nothing too crazy. So, but I did the sort of time that I did, 2015 time, which is for me was kind of a shock at the end of it.
Oh, great. Was it your first time running Berlin, or you ran Berlin before?
Yeah. No, first time running Berlin.
Okay.
I've done, I think, 12 marathons all up now. This has been my 3rd of the majors. I did New York in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and then did London. Then I got into London in 2020, but with all the lockdowns and everything in Australia, we weren't able to travel for quite some time, so I didn't actually run London until 2022. So
Okay.
it was a long training session.
And so definitely looks like you're chasing majors.
Yeah, I am now. I decided when about the 32k mark, I think it was, of London, I decided that I'd try and do the big six before I'm 60. So I've got a couple of years to try and knock over the other three. My wife thought, because my wife always goes, "Are you going to stop running now?" She doesn't, not in a bad way, but because I've always said, "Oh, that'll be my last one." My father-in-law also asks the same question because he thinks I'm a bit mad for doing these runs. But I thought, why not have a little goal?
Yeah.
And not having the opportunity to travel for a while, gives us a chance to actually go and have an excuse to go and see places that I've not been to.
Right.
And my brother lives part-time in Japan, so going to Tokyo would be good to catch up with my brother as well.
Oh no, that would be fun too. Yeah, if you're gonna catch up with your family in one of the big six, that it's added bonus
Yeah.
plus the travel piece.
Yeah.
Great. So let's go back to your. You said you're 56. You have done 10 plus marathons, 3 majors. You're chasing 6 majors by 60. Like, how did it all started? How did you get into running?
I'm a bit of a late bloomer, I believe, with this. I started when I was about, in my mid-40s, 2010, 2011. I'd finished playing football, soccer, after too many years of playing that, and decided to have a bit of a rest, and then got bored, and thought, well, let's go for a run. I normally don't run unless I'm chasing a ball or chasing someone with a ball, but let's give it a bash. And I literally just ran around the block. I also, to be honest, it was a bit of a mental health thing as well. I was in a bit of an odd state or place with the relationship I was in, and I needed to find something that would stop me from working too many hours. Like, if I was going into work earlier and earlier, and instead of just going to the desk, I ended up going for runs, and then so it helped me mentally, because I was in, as I say, it was a bit of a mental health trip. I won't bore people with the stories, the details of that, but it was a really good way of sort of mental chewing gum, cleansing the soul a little bit. And I'm quite happy to go out in any weather. And it's kind of cheap. It's a pair of runners and a pair of shorts. It's, like you can, I mean, I spend a lot of money on stuff now, but it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
A bit of exercise to do. So I ran around the block, and then I was talking to a mate of mine over a beer who we talked at my 40th and said, what's the silly things we've done? Jumped out of a plane, bungee jumped, all that stuff. And I said, well, I haven't, maybe I should run a marathon or do something like that. That's suitably silly. That's something that can, potentially be the end of me.
And that was how long into when you started running?
Well, it's about the time that I'd done a couple of K,
Okay.
and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to sign up for Melbourne. I forced my own hand, so to speak. And the rest, I just kind of got hooked then. It's been, we all have our running journeys through these things. You have highs and lows, good runs, bad runs, and the rest of it. But I kind of got hooked, and as I said, it's cheaper than a gym membership, healthier. I've got dogs, so I can take one of the Kelpies out for a run with me, so that's kind of fun.
Oh, great!
And there's a good little society, or there's a sort of social groups around with it here. So that's how I got into it. It was as I say, it was good for my all-round well-being.
So now you definitely had a reason to got into running. It's also economical in a sense compared to other sports.
Yeah.
You probably had to see the benefits, pretty fairly when you start running, shorter duration. But you're running like more than 10, 15 years now. Like what you keep still continuing is the same, or it has changed over a period of time?
It's changed. and so it's a cheap way of doing it. It sounds like I'm a skinflint, but it's just, I prefer it. I mean, I've got all the other paraphernalia behind me. It all costs money. But yeah, it's changed. Initially, I once I got into the decent distances, I basically wouldn't go for a run unless I was doing over 10K. Like it was like I didn't see the issue with it. So when I was working in corporate, I'd go in at 5 or 6 in the morning and go for an hour of 10K run, come back and start work. And then as I got more into it, and I've got a running buddy who's, we call ourselves running husband and wife. She's my running wife. My wife doesn't run. My actual wife doesn't run. She does. Sam. She and I had, she worked out a program, so I've become more. My running's become more structured thanks to her, actually, to be honest. So instead of doing, 10K, a 10K and a 20K in a week, I do run pretty much every day when I'm actually running a program. If I've got an actual run booked in. But then, like during our lockdown period, I was going out and just running 5K a day every day with the dog, just to do something. So I can vary it up. And I've seen that your body changes, and you've got to kind of listen to what your body's telling you sometimes.
Yeah. I wonder, I think you mentioned, I'm not sure if you mentioned that you run your own business too.
Yeah.
So you do have a busy life and a family and a lot of far friends that you have to take care, your daughter too, family life. Like, how do you balance all those? And does running get you something that you can bring it back or take it back to the other aspects of your life?
Yeah, I've been running my own business now for 10 years, and it's an AV and events type business. I'm a cameraman by trade, but there's a bunch of other stuff I do. So it can be odd hours. So my running can actually, I can kind of work my running around it at times. Right. But I have at times had to go, okay, if I've got to go to an event in the city or something, and then I've got to work out when I can do my running. So it does. Sometimes it takes second place to my work, but invariably I can build particularly if I'm running, if I've got a program going, like for Berlin, I had a particular program. I had to do a number of things where I kind of got up even earlier than normal to run, or depending what the weather was like, or I did it in the evening. But my family, Jo, my wife, is very, very understanding of what I want to do and what I need to do my running. And I don't know. I've been doing it long enough now. I don't even really think about it impacting my life. It's become part of the norm. It's my day is get up, put my runners on, go out for a run, and then everything else. And I think I'm kind of, my business is my business. It's, I'm not always working every day, but I'm invariably doing something. So, but again, I can work my runs in. And we're pretty lucky here with the length of the day and daylight and stuff like that. And I'm in a nice area that I can just go, okay, I'm just going to go for a half an hour trundle around the block, or I'm going to go and run along I'm near the beach, so I can run along the beach, sort of thing. So, I got, pretty lucky with that respect. So that's a tough one. I've not really overly thought that through.
No, I don't know if it helps, but some of the areas that I have seen, like, that helps people that can take back from running is like the discipline aspect of it, right? You can bring back to whatever you want to do, and also the perseverance, the being consistent on what you do. You can bring back in other aspects of your life too.
Absolutely, the routine of it, and the discipline. Actually, that's a very good call. The discipline and routine of it does help, because there is certain. I've got friends who go that, how do you keep yourself amused? And it's not a case of being amused. It's just a case of finding that sort of, I would say the word zen, but that's a bit too deep. But you find that mental chewing gum that gives you that discipline, and also gives you the different energy that you can then take into your workplace or into your family and all that. it clears the mind sometimes, or it gives you a chance to chew over things that might be bugging you. I mean, I've had stuff in, work stuff that I've pondered when I've run, and
yeah.
I might not have cured or fixed it all, but I've got further down the track with whatever I was working on to be able to go, okay, let's go with this,
Yeah,
But yeah, the routine and the discipline is it's kind of, again, it's something that once you do it, you kind of realize how much there is involved in it. It's kind of cool.
yeah, that is true. In mile 20 or close to 20, you know that you're going to hit that wall or whatever you're going to call it, right? But if you're prepared well, trained well, you know that you're going to push it through. But that is also another aspect you can bring back in a lot of things. Like, hey, if put the effort in, you can get to the finish line. It's just a life lesson
Oh, yeah.
that can reflect in a lot of aspects of your life too. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, completely agree. Yeah, there is that. Yeah, you push yourself to another level.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm just running a small business by myself. I'm not doing anything major, but it's having the ability to. I suppose in some respects, you've still got to be determined to keep the business going every day, keep going, keep plugging away, sort of thing. So,
it has probably become a second nature to you. Probably don't have to think because
no, it's all muscle memory.
Yeah, that's probably what's happening because you don't have to think because you have running for 10-15 years. You know that you can push through things if you're against a wall because you have done it so many times. So probably it's not a first respond like oh my goodness, what I'm against, like what do I do? But you have done enough. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean, every run's kind of different. You think you're probably. I mean, the Berlin, the first 5-10K, I was kind of, why am I doing this sort of mental story going, thing repeat in my head going, you sure you should be doing this? Why don't you just not? And it was like, and the body's just going, this is what we do, mate. And the legs are just, took over from the head and the heart did that. And then the mind's gone, okay, I've got this now. Yeah, I understand. We're enjoying this. This is good. There's a whole bit. Whereas other runs, you kind of just, everything. I mean, I did one run in a while back in one of the Melbourne ones, and my hip went out at about 28K or something like that, and I was I ended up walking the last bit and walking the last sort of 10K or so of it, and cursing quite profusely to myself, teaching some of the kids some new words that they probably wouldn't have heard before. And there's a tram that runs along the last part of the road that takes you almost to the finish line, and it took all my strength not to just get on the tram and take it all the way to the finish line, not bother with the medal. I literally threw all the toys out of the pram, and I was like, but I finished it. I got chatting to another guy who was in the same spot as I was, and we both said, this is just a bad day at the office. It's just and we just encouraged each other to the finish line, and it was good to finish it properly. But initially there was a lot of as I say, throwing the toys out of the pram. Not my proudest moment on the running course, shall we say.
I hear you. What is next for Dan? What are the goals you're chasing? Obviously, the big one is the majors, yeah?
Yeah, the majors is the main one. And it'll be interesting to see if Sydney gets the next star or whatever it is. I missed out on the lottery for Tokyo because I went in for that for next March, whatever it is. But I'm in the lottery for Chicago next year. So fingers crossed I'll get into that. If I don't do that, then there's a kind of 4 possibilities. Canberra marathon. My best mate lives in Canberra, so I'll go and visit him and try and stop myself from going to the pub the day before the run. Gold Coast is a really lovely flat run here, and in the middle of Melbourne's winter, so it'd be nice to go there, or actually go and run Sydney. Before they've got a new course now, so that will be the thing. I've just got a minor foot injury at the moment, which I'm just shaking up, but I'm back running short distances. I'm doing 3 to 5K at the moment, but that's kind of the next goal. And maybe, well, there's also my brother-in-law lives in the McLaren Vale, which is a fantastic wine region in South Australia, and they've got a marathon as well. So there's options aplenty in Australia to do, but yeah, my main aim at the moment is the majors. So Chicago, once Chicago, so I've got Tokyo, Chicago, and Boston are the three I'm looking for. Boston obviously is a time-based one. I'm nowhere near fast enough for my age group at the moment, so I'll have to probably figure out another way about that one. But I'm waiting to see about Chicago, the number one thing.
Yeah, you have a couple of years for your 6 before 60 goal, which is
Yeah,
sure gonna get there.
Yeah,
You're
that could come back and hit me and and haunt me.
yeah.
But if I'm 60 in a bit, I'll take it.
Yeah. You're pretty close, but you have time to plan the majors, three of them. So
absolutely.
best of luck.
That's the other nice thing about running. You can kind of plod along until whatever age. I mean, there's there's a whole Spartans group here that they've done every Melbourne, and there's a dozen or so of them that have done every single one. So it's like close to 50 marathons they've done. So they're all in their latter years, but they plod along. They do their time. They're quite there's no it's a race, but it's not a race. Is what a marathon is.
Yeah, it is. Now let's expand on this one. So let's talk about your support system a little bit. Like, as I consider, like, you have to put a support system around you, like, to chase those goals. I wonder how it looks for Dan.
Yeah, look, I think I said a bit earlier. My Jo, my wife, she's a fantastic sport. She's really understanding, and she's also she's quite sporty herself in knowledge. She used to be very sporty. We actually met at a local soccer club sort of thing, and she was playing for the women's team. I was playing for the men's team. So she's a great support. She's also quite she helps me with my nutrition and recovery and stuff like that.
Nice.
She's probably more on point with that than I am, to be honest. But so that's been good. Not that I'm hyper about what I eat. I just kind of try and do the right thing. So I mentioned Sam and Adam. They're my running wife and her husband. They're great support, and she was able to bring the program. We worked a program together because she was running. I think she was running Melbourne when I was running London. So we ran together. So she's a phenomenal support, and we much to the amusement of everybody, we never run out of things to talk about on the run. So we could be running for an hour or 3 hours.
Yeah.
4 or 5 times a week, and we'll somehow always find something to chat about. So that's a really good sport. And I've got a bunch of mates who just they get it and they don't get it. They wouldn't run. They wouldn't necessarily run a marathon, but I played football with them, or I've known them for years, and they're always good. And actually, some of the guys I work with, they're actually really good support. That's been kind of it. Outside of that, it's kind of just, I know, I kind of like it to be, it's kind of, you're out there on your own, and I don't mind that. I listen to some podcasts. I used to listen to books. I haven't done that for a while. And recently, in the last year or so, I basically not listened to it. I just listen to the world around me. I rarely take my headphones out with me now. So that's kind of it. The dogs, they're a great support.
Yeah.
They, like particularly Kermit, who's the older Kelpie. He nags me if I don't take him out for a run. Like he will, if he sees my runners going on, he knows we're going somewhere, and sometimes he badgers me to take him out. So whether he knows it or whether he's doing it intentionally, or he's chancing his arm to be able to be taken out for some exercise, I don't know, but it has a desired effect. So I'll take the canines as a part of the support group as well. So
nice. I'm aware that the park run culture, I don't know if in Melbourne or overall in Australia, is pretty big.
Yeah, it's grown massively in the last number of years. There's one actually started across the road from me.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I've only been a couple of times because it's quite hilly. And to be honest, well, it's hilly around here, but this one's particularly hilly, and I just went, I'll go and do my own thing. But there's a lot of uptake with the park run. It's very popular here.
Okay. Probably with your running your business and not strict or fixed schedule probably would interfere that, because I think the park runs are organized on a set day, set time.
Kind of 8 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, and that's not a bad one for me. It's probably more. I prefer my own structure sometimes, but it's good to do it. Like I said, I've done a number of park runs, but the one across the road, I kind of did the first few, and then it was like, okay, because it's an interesting terrain that they run. It's around a reservoir, and the first you start, and the first corner is like that.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull out the old man card here, and I'll go, I'd rather not run a hill like that straight away. I need a bit more of a run up or a warm up for it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
no, great. It was great chatting with you, Dan. Thanks for sharing your story. And then best of luck for the 6 majors and the remaining 3 for you.
Thank you very much.
And all the best for your next goal that you're chasing for.
Yeah, lovely talking to you. Thank you very much.